New Patriotic Party, is raising a number of issues in a news conference that just took place, that just started at the MPP's headquarters. Let me take you live there and bring you the very latest on this matter.
Saying all Ghanaians, because if left, we need to address these issues in its proper perspective. They can collectively undermine the due process provisions of our laws and the human right of citizens. It can also unduly interfere in the work of the judiciary, and it will weaken our cherished democracy. Yesterday, Mr. Kisia Jaben held a press conference and declared Ken Ofori-Atta, the former Minister of Finance, a fugitive from justice. It is baffling that a special prosecutor, a lawyer, and a law lecturer could make such basic mistake in labeling a person of interest who has not been charged and remains in contact through his lawyers as a wanted individual or a fugitive. Isn't that odd? A respected legal personality, a former director of the Ghana Law School, Mr. Ansang Asare, says that this act is not only barbaric, but uncouth, uncivilized, and unethical. Ladies and gentlemen, Ken Ofori-Atta is not evading accountability, as the OSP claimed. On January 2nd, 2025, he wrote a letter to the then Chief of Staff, Madame Frima Oseo Pare, that he was traveling to the United States for a follow-up medical visit. He included his current and reliable contact information at the end of the letter. On January 22nd, 2025, Mr. Ofori-Atta again wrote to the new Chief of Staff, Mr. Julius Debra, to inform him that he was overseas for a medical examination. He concluded his letter with the following: please do not hesitate to reach out if there is any information you will need in the interest of the state regarding the fact that I've been or I've held some formal positions in government. Mr. Ofori-Atta also provided reliable email addresses for any required communication. He also attached his letter to the former Chief of Staff for Mr. Debra's reference. 2 days after he wrote this letter to the Chief of Staff, the special prosecutor sent a letter, and this was January 24th, 2025, sent a letter to Mr. Ofori-Atta's residence regarding a directive to appear at the office of the special prosecutor on Monday, February 10th, 2025. That was the date for him to appear, to discuss suspected corruption and corruption-related offenses. The letter also enumerated 4 matters being investigated by the OSP. Then on January 31st, Mr. Ofori-Atta responded to the special prosecutor's letter through his lawyer, stating that our client notified the former Chief of Staff in earlier January and more recently informed the current Chief of Staff about his trip outside the country for medical reasons. Our client is currently undergoing medical observation and test, which will lead to a decision about his treatment. After that, he will have a clearer idea of when to proceed to Ghana. Therefore, we respectfully wish to inform you that we will notify you of his arrival to the country so that you can reschedule your invitation to him for purposes stated in the heading of your reference letter. Then on 5th February 2025, the special prosecutor responded to Mr. Ofori-Atta's lawyer, stating that the OSP declines your request to be away from the jurisdiction indefinitely on medical grounds based solely on your statement. You are required to indicate by the close of business on Monday, February 10th, 2025, a reasonable date for your return to the jurisdiction and attendance to the OSP. If you fail to do so, the OSP will take all necessary legal steps to secure your return to the jurisdiction and your attendance to the OSP in our discretion. Let me make this reference quickly. You recall that there was also another matter the OSP was investigating, the famous Airbus, the intermediary 1, intermediary 2 to 5 issue. Mr. Kisieja told us in August last year that he traveled all the way to UK to interview Sam Mahama, John Mahamad's brother, intermediary 5. So what stopped him from doing same to the former minister? This is somebody who is saying that I'm seeking medical attention. The health facility wrote a letter to the OSP. It was signed, dated, and it was an authentic letter. So if you think that you need a person badly for your investigation, just as you traveled to UK to interview Sam Mahama, what then stopped you from doing same to former finance minister? What is so urgent that you cannot wait? What is so urgent that if he could have waited 2 years before he interviewed Sam Mahama in the famous Airbus issue, then why this haste? And even if you do the calculations, we are talking about just within a space of 2 weeks. So you request the presence of somebody. The person says that I'm out of the jurisdiction for medical attention. You have received letters from his lawyers. You have received letters from the hospital signed by a medical doctor. And all of these correspondence is just within 2 weeks. Then quickly you label the person as a fugitive. Very, very bizarre situation. On February 7th, 2025, in a reply to the special prosecutor's letter of February 5th, Mr. Ofori-Atta's lawyer stated, please find the attached document indicating that our client is receiving attention at the Mayo Clinic in the US. It outlines his appointment and suggests a date after March when our client may be able to return to Ghana. A date after March. March is just next month. The letter from Mayo Hospital stated that Mr. Ofori-Atta was undergoing further testing and management, including possible surgical intervention in March 2025. The hospital's letter provided reliable contact, a doctor's name, the department name, a phone number, a reliable email address. It was also stamped Mayo Clinic authentic document with a signature and a date. Nonetheless, the correspondence between the OSP and the lawyers on February 11th, 2025, 12 men, including 1 police officer, 4 military personnel, and 7 unidentified individuals in plain clothes raided Mr. Ken Ofori-Atta's home video footage of the raid reveals that one Richard Japa, a third accused in the famous ambulance trial case, accompanied the men into the residence of Mr. Ofori-Atta, all armed to the teeth. Ladies and gentlemen, the OSP is being unreasonable considering the ongoing communication between Ken Ofori-Atta and the OSP office concerning his health. Additionally, the treatment letter from the Mayo Clinic should demonstrate that he is indeed receiving care. My little knowledge in law reveals that if somebody is declared a fugitive, it means that person cannot be reached, cannot be traced. You don't even know where the person is. And at least you give yourself a reasonable time after a search. In any case, the OSP lacked that power to declare anybody wanted. It is only the court that can do so. If the special prosecutor's letter from January 24th had prompted Mr. Ofori-Atta to leave Ghana, the OSP might be justified in harboring suspicion. However, Mr. Ofori-Atta was already out of the country well before OSPs contacted him. He traveled on the 2nd of January, and your letter to him came in on the 24th of January. So how could the man be labeled as a fugitive when he was already in the country? Indeed, he was not even the finance minister about 8 months before the elections. And you, Mr. Kise Jaben, you were the special prosecutor. And he was in the country throughout. For 8 months to the election, you could not invite the person. The person steps out of the country for medical attention. And it is not as if you wrote to the person before he traveled. Your letter came 2 weeks after he had traveled. And yet, you unreasonably label this person as a fugitive. Very, very, very unreasonable. To avoid any misunderstanding, since he was appointed Minister of Finance in 2017, Mr. Ofori-Atta has consistently demonstrated unwavering transparency and respect in response to all legal inquiries and state investigation involving him. The Eurobond conflict of interest probe by Sraj, the vote of censure by Parliament readily comes to mind. Mr. Ofori-Atta has remained present, fully engaged, and open with the relevant authorities throughout these proceedings. His long history of openness and cooperation reinforces a commitment to upholding the highest standards of integrity. Mr. Ofori-Atta can never be a fugitive. He is not a fugitive, and he will never be a fugitive. The OSP got it wrong. He got it wrong. Once Mr. Ofori-Atta's doctors declare him fit and healthy, he will return to the country. Until then, the special prosecutor should avoid making sensational statements, provoking public emotions, and creating drama over the matter that could have been adequately resolved through correspondence. If you label your former finance minister as a fugitive, which indeed is not so, what you are doing is that it's a national embarrassment. It amounts to national embarrassment. When indeed, the length of your correspondence is just 2 weeks, and you can't wait. It's not as if the person is lost. The person cannot be traced. Again, the special prosecutor also mentioned in his press statement yesterday that the former National Petroleum Authority boss, Honorable Dr. Sheikh Mustafa Abdul Hamid, is a subject matter of investigation. Again, in a very bizarre situation, you put together a press conference, you state that Dr. Mustafa Hamid is a subject matter for some investigations, that is corruption-related offenses. Yet at the time you were making such a statement, Dr. Mustafa had not even received even a text message, even a letter, even a phone call, nothing, no correspondence that you need him for investigation. Is this fair? Is that how you do your work? It is interesting to note that Honorable Mustafa has not received any invitation from the special prosecutor or any state investigative body, nor has he been under any investigation for any said alleged crime. Let me state that the MPP, we are going to cooperate with any state investigative body. We are. The MPP, our members, past CEOs, past officials, anybody, we are going to fully cooperate. Let it be known that the New Patriotic Party and our members are law-abiding and will cooperate fully with any state institution. But however, we will reject any form of political harassment. Any form of political harassment. What happened in Mr. Ofori-Atta's house is very unfortunate. We are not in a jungle. What happened there? And for the special prosecutor to even say that his intelligence revealed that what happened in Mr. Ofori-Atta's house was staged, managed. It was staged by himself. It's very unfortunate. When especially we have CCTV footages showing all of these men in uniform, all the vehicles used, and one Japa leading the men. So the OSP got it wrong. What kind of intelligence is he gathering? What kind of intelligence? Ladies and gentlemen of the media, let's move on to the next issue. The government's illegal directive to nullify or to revoke public service appointments made after December 7th, 2024 is regressive, potentially detrimental to the democratic gains and governance in Ghana. The President's directive to the Chief of Staff instructing heads of government agencies to nullify or to revoke all public service appointments made after December 7th is poorly conceived, illegal, and profoundly damaging to the hardworking Ghanaian. This decision contradicts the core principles of job creation, which the ruling party promised through its 24-hour economy. We were here in Ghana, we were told that the 24-hour economy will provide jobs in the morning, some will go in the afternoon, others will go at night. So what happened? Mr. President, in addition to its devastating effect on individuals and families, the directive lacks legal foundation and compromises the integrity of Ghana's public service recruitment processes. Public service recruitment in Ghana is not arbitrary. It follows strict bureaucratic processes with multiple levels of approval. Before hiring a personnel, any agency must obtain financial clearance or board approval from the relevant authorities. In some cases, even from Public Services Commission. You must secure financial clearance from the Ministry of Finance, incorporate new hires into its annual budget planning, and adhere to specific timelines set by the Ministry of Finance, which often spans months or even years. So the processes of recruitment is not just an event. Ladies and gentlemen, it is absurd to suggest that public services could bypass all these public agencies, could bypass all these procedures after December 7th, 2024, and illegally recruit staff. The mere date of appointment does not invalidate the due process that was followed before these individuals were hired. If recruitment occurred within an approved financial clearance period, retroactively nullifying these appointments clearly violates administrative justice and employment rights. Further, Ghana's labor laws protect employees from arbitrary dismissals. Appointments that follow proper procedures establish legal contracts between employees and the state. A blanket cancellation of such appointment would constitute unlawful termination, exposing the government to potential lawsuit. Accordingly, the letter signed by the Chief of Staff, he stated that the recruitments were made in the public services are not in compliance with established good governance practice and principles. It is worthy to note that this so-called good governance practice and principles can never be grounds for termination of appointment. In his letter, he never mentioned that these recruitments were done illegally, they did not follow due process. He never mentioned so. He only said that it was against good governance and practices, all because the people received their appointment letters on the 7th of December 2024. Constitutionally, every government has a 4-year mandate, and it is clear when the mandate will expire. So before the exit of any government, that government duly, under the Constitution, can undertake any exercise, including recruitment. Ladies and gentlemen, this revocation will destroy livelihoods. We are talking about the police, those who have been recruited, the police, military. We are talking about fire service, immigration, SEPS. We are talking about GRA. We are talking about all institutions. So we are talking about thousands of jobs, mass unemployment. The most immediate and devastating consequences of this directive is the mass unemployment. Thousands of Ghanaians who have legally secured jobs will suddenly find themselves without work, not due to incompetence or redundancy or any illegality, but because of a certain political expediency. This decision will also plunge thousands of families into financial distress, worsening the already difficult economic condition. It will also discourage young professionals from pursuing careers in public service, as it indicates that job security is subject to a political current. The government must recognize that public service appointments are not gifts. They are legitimate job opportunities, and through due process, these affected workers are not just numbers, they are fathers, they are mothers, they are recent graduates, they are breadwinners. They have committed themselves to national service. Their fate should not be decided by politically motivated directive. The New Patriotic Party has a duty to defend Ghanaians against such unjust directive. We will not support the Mahama administration in destroying the livelihoods of Ghanaians who have gone through the process to secure their appointment. On December 19th, 2016, when the NDC lost, I recall the former President Mahama, then now President Mahama, through the same chief of staff, made key appointments. In fact, on the 16th of December 2026, that was when they appointed the Auditor General, the former Auditor General, Mr. Domlevo, who is part of the discredited ORA. Key appointments were made. Mr. Joseph Whittle, Ms. Josephine Nkrumah, and Mr. Daniel Domlevo to lead SHRAJ, National Commission for Civic Education, and the Office of the Auditor General, respectively. Additionally, on December 20th, 2016, President Mahama, through the Finance Ministry, also increased, I recall, the National Service Allowance from 350 Ghana cedis to 549 Ghana cedis, effective January 2017. Ladies and gentlemen, the MPP government under President Kufuor did not cancel these appointments. We honored them. Likewise, we did not dismiss John Mohammed's last-minute appointment or last-minute increase to the National Service Allowance. We honored all of these. This is how democratic governance should function. It's supposed to be a continuum. Therefore, President Mahama cannot revoke the appointment of these recruitments, just as President Kufuor took responsibility for his last-minute appointment in 2016. He must also take responsibility for the appointment made legitimately, whatever date within 2024. Now, because this directive lacked basis and it was not well grounded in law, you realize that there have been a lot of abuses. When you go to Ghana Water, I saw a communique from the Chief Executive Officer saying that for him, he has revoked all appointment from November 2024. Why? Because when he took office, he noticed that the appointment made at Ghana Water were in November 2024. So if he is supposed to stick to the directive of the Chief of Staff, he will not get anybody to sack. So he had to go back to November 2024. Very bizarre. So because this directive lacked proper legal grounding, it's been a subject of abuse by so many state institutions. And this is very, very unfair. We urge Ghanaians whose livelihood are at risk due to this unfortunate directive from President Mohammed's administration to remain strong and recognize that the New Patriotic Party is dedicated to protecting their legitimate jobs. The MPP will fully support any legal action to undo this illegality, this wrongful termination of appointment. I am already in court. I've already directed my lawyers. Today, as I speak, they will serve all processes. They are going to file all processes today. We are in court to challenge the unconstitutional act of the president, and the New Patriotic Party will support any legal action to undo this illegal and wrongful termination of appointment. We also encourage the affected persons to come together and seek legal redress. Ladies and gentlemen, President Mohammed's administration is a growing disaster, particularly in the fight against corruption. As you know, the government established oral committee. For us, it looks like the committee was just set up as a political persecution mechanism. Why? I have a report in my hands. and I'll read it. The former Chief Executive Officer of Microfinance and Small Scale Center, Maslow, Sedinam Tamaklu Aduno, has been sentenced to serve 10-year prison with hard labor. The conviction stems from misappropriation of funds allocated for Maslow activities between 2013 and 2016. Over 17 million Ghana cedis, which was meant to be disbursed to victims of fire incident at Kantamanto, was misappropriated by the accused. The report that was presented to former President Mahama, and even the ones that we've seen circulating, I have not seen even a sentence or even a page talking about Sedinam Tamaklu, somebody or who misappropriated. He was a former CEO of Maslow. And for this person, the entire matter has gone through our court processes. The court made pronouncement. He's been sentenced to 10 years in prison. Yet, the oral committee whatsoever did not find it appropriate to tell Ghanaians where Sedinam Tamaklu is. Indeed, I'm even surprised that even yesterday when the Attorney General had the press conference, I was thinking, because this is a pending issue, this is some monies misappropriated, 70 million. I was thinking that the Attorney General will even mention it, that maybe they've been taking steps to make sure that Sedinam Tamaklu will be brought back to Ghana. She rather is a fugitive, not Mr. Ofori-Atta. She rather is a fugitive, not Mr. Ofori-Atta. President John Dramani Mahama has promised OCAL instead of oral. President Mahama now, according to Manasseh Azori, is the Republic's chief clearing agent. Ladies and gentlemen, President Mahama cannot shift the chief clearing agent tag to the Attorney General and the Minister of Justice, Dr. Dominic Ayeni. Yesterday at the press conference, you saw how the Attorney General struggled to say that President Mahama did not direct him to file nolle prosequi and that he made a decision independently. I mean, this is bizarre, and for me, this is even more worrying. Such important matter. A minister tasked with the construction of 5,000 units of houses, $200 million involved. We did not get the 5,000 units. We rather got uncompleted 1,005 units. The said minister was in court, and the Attorney General entered into a nolle prosequi, and he's been appointed. You have a situation where there is a $66 million scandal hanging around the neck of the former Senate boss, Mr. Ernest Thompson. And instead of him to answer to Ghanaians through the court, again, the Attorney General entered into a nolle prosequi, cleaned this person. He says, go home. And then you have a former deputy governor in charge of banking supervision, advancing a colossal amount of 400 million or so to a collapsing bank. And he's in court to answer. The Attorney General goes to court, picks this man up, clears him of all charges. Then the following day, interestingly, he is appointed governor, Bank of Ghana. So you ask yourself, President Mahama, so is it the case that you cannot get anybody anybody at all to be Governor Bank of Ghana, and you must appoint somebody with a heap of cases around us, with so many issues around his neck. He is answering a case in court, a case involving over 400 million Ghana cedis or so. And the Attorney General goes in, picks him up, clears him, then the following day he is appointed governor. Meanwhile, you are chasing after certain ghost document from ORA, and then you have Mr. Domlevot saying that even all the documents he have gathered, it must be audited before it can be credible. Can you imagine? You've been given a work to do, and then you present your report, and now you are telling us that even the work that you have done is not even correct. It's not even solid, and that we must audit it again. This is the kind of situation we find ourselves. Ladies and gentlemen, the Attorney General can tell this story that the president wasn't aware. What kind of governance is that? That you drop such important cases in court, involving former ministers, involving somebody you intended to appoint the Governor Bank of Ghana. You made all of these decisions without the input of the president, and the president wasn't aware. Said this to some children by the fireside, but not to us. President Mahama appointed him and instructed him to clear the NDC members whilst taking steps to prosecute opponent using a certain discredited ORA. Even their chairman cannot even declare his asset. He says that he stays in Airport Hills. A plot in Airport Hills is about $500,000. He says he's not the owner of the mansion he stays in. A big mansion with swimming pool, 8-bedroom, big mansion. He says that he's been renting this building for the past 8 years. From our checks, it is between $15,000 to $20,000 a month. He told the committee, the vetting committee, that the only source of income for him is the money he receives as an MP. You let's add all his sitting allowance, committee allowance, all of that. His pay is 20,000. All the allowances put together, let's say 40,000. And then you stay in a 220,000 Ghana cedis a month house. You, ORA committee chairman, you cannot even declare your assets. You cannot even disclose your source of income. So where do you get money apart from the 40,000? That where do you get money to fund all of these 220,000 rent you pay every month? In conclusion, ladies and gentlemen, this Mahama government has deceived Ghanaians. A candidate who campaigned to reduce the cost of living is now busily undermining people's livelihood by revoking their appointment. Candidate or President John Dramani Mahama, who promised to uphold the laws and combat corruption, instead is clearing alleged wrongdoers and turning blind eye whilst the OSP abuses the law to target his political opponent. The NDC did not promise this to Ghanaians. Based on the experience so far, the reset President Mahama promised is a deterioration of Ghana's modest gains. Ladies and gentlemen, Ghana needs an upgrade, not just a regressive reset we are experiencing only a month into President Mahama's governance. We invite Ghanaians to join the effort to hold the Mahama government to strict accountability. Thank you very much. So, many anoma yebeka no twi so. Yebebo no. Bono tofa. Nie tie nie.
Right, so we've been listening to the national organizer of the opposition MPP, Henry Nana Boakye, raising issues about the raid that took place at the former finance minister of Ofori-Atta's home, the OSP's position on him, and of course the work of the ORA. Now, we'll be doing some analysis of this and get reactions from the NDC, because in the studio with me this afternoon is the Deputy General Secretary of the NDC, who's also the Deputy Director of Operations at the presidency, Mustafa Gbande. The MPP caucus in Parliament has also been talking to the media about what they describe as attempts by the governing NDC to intimidate their base. They make reference to the former Defense Minister Dominic Nitiwu and then the Minority Chief Whip Frank Anadompre. We can listen to the Deputy Minority Leader, and then we'll come back to the analysis in the studio.
Bias and selective justice being exhibited by state security agencies in the administration of their duties. The National Intelligence Bureau, the NIB, on Monday, 10th February 2025, wasted no time in summoning the Minority Chief Whip, Honorable Frank Anadompre, for questioning over comments he made concerning the disputed Ablekuma North parliamentary elections results. His words, urging MPP supporters to protect their own, were swiftly deemed insightful and required interrogation at the highest level of the security apparatus. Yet, when Mustafa Gbande, the Deputy General Secretary of the NDC and Deputy Director of Operations in the Presidency, openly declared on live television on Friday, 7th February 2025, that the NDC would sacrifice the minority leader, Honorable Alexander Afenyo-Markin, the NIB found no cause for alarm and did not summon him. If the NIB is truly committed to upholding law and order, it must explain why the Minority Chief Whip was swiftly summoned for interrogation over his comments, while the Deputy Director of Operations at the Presidency, who openly threatened the minority leader's life, was allowed to walk free without consequences. This double standard raises serious concerns about the selective application of justice and the use of state institutions to police certain political figures while others are allowed to act with impunity.
Right, so that's the Deputy Minority Leader, Patricia P.J., on what they describe as attempts by the government to silence them. Now, there's been the latest on the raid that took place at the home of the former Finance Minister, Ofori-Atta. The Majority Leader in Parliament, the member of Mahama Yariga, has for the first time admitted that some security agencies entered into the residence of the former Finance Minister. National Security Coordinator, according to him, says that what happened was regrettable and should not have happened. That's Mahama Ayariga. If the visuals are ready, we can bring that to you right now. Mayariga on the raid that took place at the former Finance Minister's residence. According to him, on the floor of Parliament, the National Security Coordinator says what happened was regrettable and should not have happened. He says it is true that the private residence of Ofori-Atta was entered into by a team of police officers, military, and national security operatives. And according to Mahama Yariga, the Majority Leader, the National Security Coordinator has told him that what happened was regrettable and should not have happened. He also confirmed that Richard Dakpa is now a national security operative. Now, let's get some reactions to what you've been listening and watching this afternoon here on the Pulse. And first was the national organizer of the MPP, Henry Nana Boakye, and then the deputy minority leader, Patricia Piaget, also making virtually the same point, but zeroing in on members of parliament on the MPP side that, according to her, are under attack. Now, the man whose name came up prominently at that news conference is in the studio with me. Mustafa Gbande is a deputy general secretary of the NDC and also currently the deputy operations director at the President's Zaza Jubilee. So, Mustafa, why would you want to eliminate members of the minority?
Well, good afternoon, and good afternoon to our cherished listeners.
Is it true that you have such an agenda to eliminate the minority leader and members of the minority?
I think that I'm shocked. I'm quite surprised. And I've never said that. And I've never conceived any intention to take human blood for the purposes of political expedience. It's not my way, it's not my style. But hey, I mean, I believe that whosoever calls for equity must come with clean hands.
So the comments they attributed to you.
What I said.
You have not made it.
I commented on the posturing of Honorable Afenya-Markin in Parliament to the extent that I questioned that when you raise the rules of equity, that bar, Afenya-Markin is not clean, but yet seems to posit to the people of Ghana that he is clean, and that the interviewer asked me that what he was doing in Parliament, party leadership was in Parliament to support him. And I said that if party leadership urges you on to do what is wrong, when the system is about to sacrifice, take you on, that was what I meant. The party leadership who are clean will stay off, and you, the individual who is not clean, will be singled out. Then there are papers, did editing, and I don't listen to these things. And you see, the fact is that, let me assure you, that if you are not clean, the law will test you. And all this noise, when they were doing the press conference, behind the deputy minority leader of Parliament is another fugitive, the man who bribed election officers in Ejuso, you remember? MP for Kwadaso, who openly was seen bribing electoral officers in the Ejuso by-election, was standing behind him.
A matter that is still
so if you go and parade,
a matter that is still being investigated.
So again, that's what I'm saying.
So can we establish the point that you don't have an agenda to eliminate the minority?
For what? No. For what? But I disagree with Afenya-Markin's posturing. I disagree with his hypocrisy. I disagree with extreme arrogance seeking to lead a minority group. Because the business and culture of Parliament, we are students of politics, is not one which Afenya-Markin is advancing. When you pretend to tell your party people that you are fighting in their interest, then behind the scenes, you are chasing contracts and chasing your contract invoices.
Is that what is happening?
That is what I spoke to.
Okay.
Yes, so I'm saying that let for once MPP leadership be genuine to their members. Because when you come and stand in Parliament, pretend as if you are clean and you are shouting on top of your voice, then as soon as you go behind the cameras, you are in government trying to get your contract bills paid, trying to take contracts, seeking for protocols and all of that. Should we not talk about it?
Few issues that we are going to spend some time to talk about. The invasion. And I just want to find out, apart from the fact that you are a Deputy General Secretary of the NDs, you are also now Deputy Director of Operations at the President's Jubilee House. Yeah. Did your office order the raid on Ken Ofori-Atta's home?
The President's office have not ordered the invasion of Ken Ofori-Atta's house. One, it doesn't have to take the President's office for institutions to work.
The National Security Operation obviously would have gotten the backing of the Presidency.
I'm just saying that.
And your office is quite instrumental in some of these things.
The National Security Setup is an institution. Look, if you are at the wrong side of the law, particularly when you are at war with the state. As you know, and let me state that President Akufo-Addo himself declared Ken Ofori-Atta a fugitive even before the special prosecutor and national.
When was this?
Oh, I mean, look, the MPP people want us to go into their kitchen.
So you said President Akufo-Addo declared him a fugitive. I want to understand when was this
President
and why.
Akufo-Addo left his seat as president, one of his worst enemies was Ken Ofori-Atta. What is happening is actually an excitement to a lot of MPP people and their base.
I don't remember anywhere President Akufo-Addo is declaring him a fugitive from justice.
We know. I'm an intelligent.
Publicly, we've not heard anything like that.
Is that?
Publicly, we've not heard anything
like that.
You will
not hear, but I'm telling you, let them come and deny it. And I'm saying that it doesn't have to take the presidency to dictate the work of the national security or the work of BNI, which is today NIB, or the work of CID.
So they acted on their own. They acted on their own.
They have the power to do that. When you are the wrong side of the state, any part of the state can come after you.
On what grounds did they raid his house?
I don't work at national security, but I'm just saying that I will sit here to speak to the grounds on which national security should invade or not to invade. If you go to national security, majority of the people who work there are military officials.
And police.
And police officials. So if you are going to carry out an operation and you use military officials and you have people who yesterday, ran down this country parading themselves at a headquarters somewhere to make noise, it shouldn't deter the country. The most important thing is that Ken Ofori-Atta can go to heaven and come down. He will be arrested, he will be prosecuted, and he will be jailed. No amount of noise will stop it. Whichever form or shape.
I'm asking because you are now in government.
No, I'm speaking now as a deputy general secretary.
Okay, but you are also a deputy director.
If I were here on the dictates of the president, I would convey to you.
Even more so as deputy general secretary of the party, what wrong has Ken Ofori-Atta done that the national security will take a raid on his property?
He was the holder of the public purse.
And so
the public purse have been misused.
So point to what exactly the role.
Are you not aware? Are you not aware that the MPP government misused our state funds? Are you not aware they stole money? Are you not aware that any check that went to a contractor or a government institution where the funds were misused came from Ken Ofori-Atta? Are you not aware that the SML deal was a scandal? Are you not aware?
But it is a matter that's being investigated.
So I'm just saying that
these are all matters that are being investigated.
I'm
just curious to know exactly the wrong that you can point out and say that this has been investigated. Facts have been established. The reason why the raid took place and the reason why you are looking for him to arrest him.
The state can arrest you on a Rambo style. They can choose to invite you. They can choose to go on a party with you. The national security chose to go in this way. Now, those who are questioning why soldiers were used. President Akufo-Addo's regime, they were using soldiers as drivers. Who spoke about it? And you are lucky. We are using soldiers to go and raid. And you are complaining? Complaining for what?
We have a lot more to talk about, but let me bring in Dr. Richard Amakumba, who is also joining us on phone. Doctor, you've been monitoring events in the country. Yesterday was quite a news day. It's continuing today. Your reaction to what has happened from the OSP to the raid and to the reaction that is coming from the MPP side?
As to MPP members. So the person who is sitting there and talking to you.
He's listening.
Please, stop what you are doing. If you ever want MPP to come up again, you're going in the opposite direction. There are people who did not vote. This is why MPP won a large margin. If you continue doing, you are making it worse. They will never.
What is this?
I'm warning you now. They will never come back. I'm warning myself.
Well, Dr. Makuma, the person in the studio is the Deputy General Secretary of the NDC.
Who was he? I thought he said another entity there or whatever. Anyway, any entity person I'm talking. Because people are angry. Don't you know that TV that this country is scandal? We don't know that. We have never had it. Why you that will happen?
And kindly, if you can reposition yourself, because it's quite difficult following you because of the there's no clarity of thought in the telephone line.
Can you hear me now?
It is better now, Doctor. Please go on.
This is what I'm saying. We should not do what we are doing. If the MPP ever hopes to come back, we should stop all these things. Be quiet. The people accusation people are making, they are all true. So what's your point?
Are you saying that they shouldn't react when they feel that their rights are being violated?
No, not that kind of reaction. If it is true, don't oppose it. You are digging your own hole if you do that. That thing is true. Why you are challenging? You want the person to fuck you on the face before you see it is true. You know it is true. So when you do that, you're making your situation worse. You will never let your followers come back to you again. It means they have given up. They have given up no hope. You see, we have lied and lied and lied. This is the result of it. The president himself was in the forefront of misbehavior. Don't we know? You mean to tell me you don't know what was happening in your own party? And what is the reason why people did not vote for you? Why? Why is it? Tell me the reason. You yourself, you conducted what? A polls and found that MPP people are the ones, MPP people are the ones who didn't vote. Why did they not? Somebody went to arrest them. No. They were angry. So are you saying when you argue this way, means you are saying that they don't know what they're talking about? Why? You want to insult them on top of all the malfeasance? They don't know anything? So please, you don't do it this way. If it is true, you keep quiet. You lay low and you talk to people. You pacify them. You beg them. You apologize. You distance yourself from all the crooks. They are no crook. Ofori-Atta is one of them. Anyone can make a challenge to that. That means person is living on the moon. Doesn't he have eyes that the budget was going out of whack? Over and above everything. Every year. He never saw it. And this is where we are.
But Doctor, if we can just, Dr. Makuba, you are a political scientist, and obviously you believe in the rule of law and the fact that good governance must always prevail in every circumstances. What is happening? Are you happy with it that armed military and security police officer would raid somebody's home, and now the National Security Coordinator says it's regrettable? You find nothing wrong with it?
If they have a warrant, I have nothing with it, because it's according to law. If they have a warrant to do that, I have nothing against it. That's how it works. Do you want the government to...
Well, we'll leave it here, and then let me come to studio. Richard Ahiaba is also joining us. Mr. Ahiaba, I'll get to you very shortly, but let me break down some of the things that took place at the news conference this afternoon, and I want to get some understanding of why you would dismiss Ghanaians employed legally by a government that just exited office. What is wrong with their status?
I mean, I think that it's long overdue. Dismissing these people, and we would help all state agencies to properly dismiss all those ones whose letters were backdated. But their institutions were, quite apart from the fact that the appointments was within the period when governance have ceased and transition was ongoing and a warning was given, some CEOs also backdated appointments or recruitments.
Are these the ones you are after?
All of these ones will be dealt with, including public officers who were partisan. You see, when I listen to Nana B and the MPP, I think that I'm not surprised why they lost the way they lost. When they sit in Accra and misbehave, the grassroots of the MPP does not agree with their stand and position at the headquarters. You've been in power for 8 years. Failed to employ your own party people. Your CEOs kept clearance if they had until you lost election, then they begin to employ. And you think that is genuine, and that you stood at headquarters here making noise, and that Ghanaians should take you serious. The Chief Justice is MPP, and that let Nana B take the suit there and go and say that he's justifying why the president is dismissing illegal and wrongful recruitments. Look, Ghanaians will judge. If all of us are looking for jobs and you have lost power, you are exiting, and then you choose to employ people, backdate same, create liabilities for a government with the hope for the government to fail, then I'm sorry. I am very happy, and I think that even the MPP people are very happy. Look, Robbie, most of the information we have today were not supplied by NDC people. MPP people, the grassroots, and they are bringing more. I just left office some hours ago. The number of MPP people, grassroots people who troop to our offices to give us information about scandalous behaviors of their, senior officials who are in government. It's threatening.
But these individuals,
yes,
they are Ghanaians.
Of course,
and you have promised. You have promised to.
No.
You have promised to create jobs.
Ghanaians who don't have jobs.
You have promised to create jobs.
President Muhammad didn't say that if you are MPP, don't come for a job.
I'm saying that
he says that, but if they wrongfully recruit you, it is not in accordance with due.
And I'm questioning is for a party that promised to create jobs, and that party has been given mandate to rule.
So reapply.
What is so injurious about what has been done that you cannot correct it, that dismissals become the only two available?
What is injurious is that the procedure for those so-called recruitments are not in accordance with due process. And that if due process could have been employed,
what is due process?
Then we should have employed every Ghanaian. The due process is that you must get a financial clearance from government looking at the expenditure table to recruit. And when you do so, you must open up for Ghanaians, whether MPP, NDC, to apply. And that you must shortlist. It must go through human resource procedures. And if you don't follow these procedures, it should not have been deemed to be an exercise that one should affirm or ratify. It's wrong. What is wrong is wrong. Okay? Look, I spoke about immigration. The immigration director sitting there. Your government loses power. Transition commences. They are taking people to various installations for training, backdating their letters. You are issuing promotions. And when your own officers have complained, you go to a Deba and insult them. Such an impunity. And you think that the government should keep quiet. And I've stated on many other entities, including where February was. Where was it?
Petroleum Commission.
Petroleum Commission. When we were doing transition, Egbert organized about 5 board meetings in a row, appointed directors, conducted reshuffle, Grico, same, Goel, same. And you think we should keep quiet? Let all Ghanaians come and apply. Whether you are, look, we are going to take care of the MPP people because their own party subjected them to pain. So we have a burden to make Ghanaians happy, including the MPP grassroots. So when you see their executives who have just ate and overfed themselves, sitting in Accra and suddenly parading to be PR agents to try and harbor state criminals and people the state is coming after because they have done wrongs, I get disappointed.
Let me bring in briefly. Mr. Awechena, you've been listening to the Deputy General Secretary of the NDC, Mr. Gbande, but your party held a news conference some few minutes ago, very emphatic, very straightforward. They are unhappy with a lot of things that have taken place in the country, especially in the last 24 hours. First, your reaction to the justification being provided by the NDC for the reason to dismiss some Ghanaians, if you like, that were employed under your regime.
Thank you, Brobe, and good afternoon to your viewers and listeners. And good afternoon to my good brother, Mustafa Gbande. Congratulations to him on his appointment. He's no longer the Deputy General Secretary. He's a Deputy Director.
I am. That's why I'm here.
I think he should resign one of it. I want him to focus on that job. He should resign. But Brobe, God will not forgive the NDC if they dismiss these Ghanaians who have done nothing but to offer themselves to serve. God will not forgive the NDC. And I'm telling them if they choose to take that advice, it will help them. But I hope they don't. And if they go ahead, the consequence will be very clear. You see, the NDC, we're talking about employment and after December 7th. This is a very dangerous thing that we're talking about, that you have a mandate, okay? Article 66(1) talks about a mandate that runs the course, that the new president does not take office up until the 7th when he's sworn in.
Right.
So Akufo-Addo effectively is the president of this republic at the time those appointments were made. John Dramani Mahama, His Excellency, will be president to run the full course until January 7, 2029. Any decision he takes after any election, whether his party wins or not, will be upheld. The NDC in 2016 made appointments far into December, 19th December. They appointed 3 heads of institutions, NCC, SHRAJ, and the Auditor General were appointed. We have held those appointments. The NDC on 20th December 2016 increased national service allowance about 200 Ghana cedis. That liability, my brother talks about liability. That's liability they are putting on the incoming government. We took them. We have held them because it is a legitimate government of this state that made the decisions, so we must abide by them.
Right.
So whatever the NDC is thinking about, one, there will be some legal consequence for it, but nothing should deceive them to think that for them, they have won some election. Before this election, which they claim they have won decidedly, there was 2016 before now. And so they must be minded that what they promised Ghanaians is not to destroy people's livelihoods. They came to build. If they cannot build and add to what has been done, they shouldn't come back here and be sacking people just to create space for their people in the service.
The claim here from the NDC is that in your case, you gave jobs when you didn't have financial clearance, and in some cases, appointment letters were backdated. These, according to NDC, are irregular. The reason why such appointments must go.
But my brother, they are just making excuses. You were here in this country when we came in 2016. There were road contracts that were given, cocoa roads that were given without money. They issued them. Okay? Government, DOT stuff, it works this way. They must find a solution for it. The government that made those decisions is a legitimate government elected by the people of this country. The path they are treading on is a dangerous one that threatens the democracy we're operating. It flies in the face of the Constitution, what they are trying to do. And I hope that those Ghanaians whose livelihoods are threatened don't forgive the NDC. And we, certainly the New Patriotic Party, we're not going to stand by and take it. Because what they are trying to tell us is to abdicate their responsibility.
Right.
Responsibility to talk to the promises, the decisions of this government, decisions of governments before them. Because the last time they were here, they received they're going to be benefiting from this 1.86 billion that is accruing to the, what is called, about 357 million of that will be disbursed this year. Right. And they're going to benefit from it. Once they are benefiting from the assets, they must take on the liability as well. So the excuses they are making is shambolic, it is irresponsible, it is unacceptable, that I hope they don't continue to subject my good brother Mustafa to come and defend these things on TV. Because this is about people's livelihoods. And they campaign and promise us that they are coming to improve the livelihoods of people. And they come, the first thing they do is to ravage people's livelihoods, giving flimsy excuses about they've been employed, they've been backdated. Who said they've been backdated? If they have been backdated, are they not Ghanaians? Are they not there to work? If you tell me they can't do the job, that's a different conversation. But to come here and give us flimsy excuses about they've been backdated, that is a lame person excuse. The NDC is running out of ideas. They must create opportunity. They are faced with the reality. They can't do it, and now they are resorting to excuses, and that excuse will not stand.
Right. Thank you so much, Mr. Bichanagba, for your time this afternoon. Thank you so much. We will leave it here for now. I will take a short break. When I return, I want to find out now, also related to this matter of dismissals, is the 7-member committee put together by the Interior Minister, Muntaka Mubarak, to also investigate how some people got into, for example, the police, the prisons, the immigration, and of course, the national service matter when we return. We are back here on the Pulse on Joy News. So let me box two issues together so that I can get the reaction of Mustafa so he can take a leave of us. Now, the Interior Minister, Muntaka Mubarak Alhaji, has inaugurated a 7-member committee chaired by a former boss of the Narcotics Control Board, Yaw Akresi Sapon, to investigate and review the recruitment process of Ghana security agencies. The committee will report directly to the minister and has been given just 2 weeks to submit a detailed report outlining challenges and policy recommendations as well for procedural and institutional reforms. And of course, my colleague Prince Kwame Kuduga was at the ceremony. He joins me for just a brief. Okay, so we don't have Kwame yet, but let's listen to the Interior Minister Mohammed Muntaka Mubarak at the program.
People form party, the party form government, and they expect certain things like when you are doing recruitment, what should happen? We should let it bear open. Are we going to find a neat way of marrying merit, party, and the general public? Should we stick strictly to merit and the general public, and then playing ostriches that political parties do not matter? What do we do? That's why in setting up this committee, you see that I came in with experts. I mean, if you look at all the persons, I try as much as possible to take away the possibility of excessive partisanship in it. So you pick a COP, I mean somebody who has become a commissioner of police, you pick a deputy fire, deputy prison, deputy immigration, somebody who has even chaired narcotics control before, so that they will help you, having been part of the processes over the years, to tell you that these are the things that we need to do. And then we currently have people in training. We are hearing all manner of things. Can you check those who are in training? Are they qualified? Will they go through the right procedures, they lay down rules that all of us know, so that it doesn't become a kind of witch hunting thing that I look at your face and I say, but I know you to be MPP, I can see your son there, so therefore you should get out, or I know this person is a CPP, so you should stay in. To avoid all that, you put up these 7-member professionals to use 2 weeks to go through those in training, give us recommendation, tell us what to do, even in terms of policy direction. What is it new that we can do to forestall all this kind of suspicion anytime recruitments are going on? So that's the essence, basically, for establishing this committee. And like I said, we're ready to support them to make sure that they are able to do this within 2 weeks, so that at least we'll immediately be able to start knowing what to do instead of giving a very long period of time. So that's basically the reason for this committee. We'll assist them with whatever logistics that they may require to be able to do that. So it's for 2 weeks. The specific things is that, can you review the current individuals under training? Let's identify what is there. Are there challenges? Are there no challenges? Let us know. Be able to tell us the processes that is currently in place. Is it adequate? Is it inadequate? What is it? If it is not adequate, what is it that we need to do? The policy that we currently have under recruitment that has guided our country for long, is there the need for policy change? Let us know. Because the current one, I want to believe, talks only about merit. Merit. Is it adequate? Having in mind the political parties and the role they play. You know that merit can be open to the general public. Can you use the same merit to bring in party people? What procedures should you use? You are not the only party. Even if you are in government, you are not the only one in government. There are others in opposition. How do you do it? You have chiefs, you have other opinion leaders who all keep calling those in charge of recruitment. Oh, I want you to consider, How do you deal with all this? So give us recommendations in the course of your work. The things that you may see that we didn't even anticipate. Give us recommendation. What do we do?
Well, now you are again pre the thoughts of Mustafa before I let him go. So, Mustafa, is it the case that you want to get rid of certain people, create space, and bring in your members?
No. They want to sanitize the processes of recruitment. As you are aware, under Honorable Henry Korte and Kennedy have said it. Now, there were allegations that people have paid 20,000, 25,000 to be recruited into service. You see, when you have a bad police officer, it doesn't know particular. The impact will affect our justice system, it will affect our security system, and also sometimes help even breed more crime. And so we owe it to ourselves as Ghanaians a duty to sanitize the recruitment process. If the committee says that, okay, there are major political parties in Ghana, every recruitment period, MPP bring 10, NDC bring 10, let's use 80% standardized merit. We can all go from there. But these pretense of putting party boys who are not qualified into security services, I think the impact, all of us go through it. So
it's not the best.
For me, it's a good policy. As compared to 2016, when the MPP came, you remember there were recruits already in training, as we have today. They sacked all of them, no reason. They sacked them. Richard Ajinagba says that the NDC will not go to heaven if we take this. President Akufo-Addo is still sitting here behind this studio, and he's alive. He's healthy of all the atrocities he has committed and what the government have done against the young people of this country.
So I think we
are going to
do that.
System. And before I go, let me state this: that I will advise the MPP headquarters to go in a reflective mood, because you see, thankfully, from our side, we have inherited even their own boys they have abandoned. We are soon going to go back to the grassroots, trying to see how we can make the bottom, the political class bottom, very happy, including their base. So when you sit in Accra and you are making this noise, look, the whole country is happy about what has happened to Ofori-Atta. MPP people are happy, NDC people are happy, ordinary Ghanaians, people who are in hospitals, they can't get beds, people whose school fees they cannot pay, people whose banks have been collapsed, people who have lost their jobs, all of them are happy. So if you go and stage a press conference, a frivolous one, an unintelligent one, a very lazy one, then you are destroying your base.
Thank you so much. Mustafa Gbande is Deputy General Secretary of the NDC and also Deputy Director of Operations at the Presidency Jubilee House. But let's stay on the matter of the 7-member committee set up to look into security, recruitment, and offer recommendations going forward. Let me bring in the Executive Director of the West Africa Center for Counter-Extremism, Mutaru Bumuni Mukhtar. Good evening, sir, and welcome to the call. So, is this the way to go to understand what we have on our hands and then prefer solution going forward?
Well, thank you for this. I think that this is an important and right call at the moment. If you consider the fact that in the last several years, at least in the last 14, 15 years, the challenge of recruitment has been a huge one that should worry all of us. The issues of party recruitment in the security agencies, especially the Ghana Police Service, is a huge, huge problem. And that includes other security agencies in the system. And so if you're at any point, you find a minister or the government seeking to redefine what should be the right process in terms of recruitment into the services. It's a right call. It's an important call, and it's something that we must all appreciate and support. If you listen to the minister in terms of the questions and in terms of the scope of what they should be working on, it's, for me, I think it's refreshing. If you consider the several scandals that have happened within the Ghana Police Service relating to recruitment, the sale of jobs, of course, government officials have dismissed it severally, including the Ghana Police Service, as well as the armed forces. And nearly every security agency in this country has been significantly involved or alleged to have been involved in this malpractice that undermines the security of this nation. The recruitment into these services, many people have shared accounts of how it's significantly flawed in terms of, payment for recruitment, in terms of party foot soldiers or party members recruited into the services. This has significantly undermined professionalism in the Ghana Police Service in particular. And so it's important that we take a break at some point and ensure that we sanitize the space, ensure that the processes are clear, are transparent, and are predictable, to ensure we're having the right people in place. And so for me, it's a right call, and that is, a call that must be supported by everyone.
They may have gotten into the service because of their political allegiance, but they are Ghanaians and probably met the basic requirements. And so how do you deal with it going forward? Is it a case that there should be a way to rid the service of people who may qualify, but they may not have the heart for the job because of how they got in?
Well, that is a very poor narrative that is cited in many places in defense of such acts. I think that there are too many qualified people for anything in this country. And so how you pick a certain set of people into jobs and into opportunities, participating in governance is important.
Right.
The idea of meritocracy, the idea of, ensuring best practices should not be thrown to dogs because because everyone who is employed or recruited is qualified or is a Ghanaian. I think that first of all, the issue of protocol recruitment into the services is a reality and is an age-old, practice.
Right.
We can streamline the process and ensure that or indicate that every member of parliament would have so number of slots in terms of recruitment into the services. And of course, that should be a small proportion of people who are recruited. And every country has its own system, but the system must be clear, must be transparent, must be accessible to everyone, and must be predictable for everyone. And so there is nothing wrong with having that kind of system. The problem is if it is skewed along political party lines, along lines that do not fall within the scope of meritocracy and professionalism. And because we have abandoned all this, these best practices, that's why we can't have police officers involved or implicated in criminal activities, involved in armed robbery activities, where you can have police officers who are involved in acts that they should actually be prevented. Today, we're having people talk about the fact that there are police officers who are unable to write a simple report, incident report, or make analysis of any security situation. This thing should worry all of us. And in fact, if we do not get rid of this kind of recruitment, we will risk undermining security in this country, and all of us will be at risk.
What about those already in the system that may not be up to the tax?
If there are people who are found to be in the system who should not be in the system, they have to be dealt with accordingly. But importantly, how you deal with them is a function of what it means or it implies for security.
Right.
There are certain group of people you may think are not fit to be in the system, but once you dismiss them, you create even more security challenges. But as a state, you have the overwhelming, power and your capacity to retool them and ensure that they are participating or engaging positively in the security space or any other space that you decide to retool them for. And so it shouldn't be, an impossible task, to handle.
Right.
And I think that the way the minister has started, it gives some sense of hope that we can sanitize the security space.
Right. We'll leave it to Mr. Mumuni. Of course, 2 weeks is not far away from today, and then we'll get to understand their report and the recommendations going forward. Now, we're going to talk about water and how to deal with leakages soon. But before we do that, their shops were gone. Their shops are gone. Their goods are gone. Their livelihoods reduced to ashes. This is the plight of traders at Kantamanto Market, still reeling from a devastating fire more than a month ago. Despite the 2.8 million cedis in relief funds being secured, not a single cedi has reached them. The frustration of the traders is mounting and patience running out. Sarah Mensah has more in the following report.
It's been over a month since fire ravaged Kantamanto Market. Over 30,000 traders were affected. The fire devoured more than 7,000 shops, reducing livelihoods to ashes. Today, hope remains elusive as the traders await the promised relief.
We haven't received anything. Me, I haven't received any donation. So don't tell me that I have received money. I haven't received any donation. It's me 3,900. Donation by 1 cedi.
Sister 15 million because almost could you know patent no so pentam because we are she I was here force near pescano it's your quiet director be na chie scan my because ye ni bi me minister ye nyina ahye. I've lost 1.6 billion.
Auntie Maggie has been here for over 15 years, selling in the heart of the market. Her voice shakes as she recalls the disaster.
They said they are coming to donate something for us. We have learned, we have seen that they have come to donate something. We have not received anything. We have not received anything. They collected 10 million from me before they gave me this stake and the ceiling. The rest of the things like you are saying, we have to do it ourselves. I don't have anything. The best thing I think the leaders should do is when they come, we have lost our things, they should let us sit in our sheds so that they divide the money to us. Yes. But the way things are going, it is very pathetic. We are suffering.
Desperation runs deep. Many traders like Maggie have borrowed money to rebuild. But outside the market, those without sheds face an even grimmer reality. Holy Ghost, who sells just outside the market, feels she's being left out of the recovery efforts.
Nipa ni so bibia obehu ye wo TV so say wa bontinu omo be hye because yanyama si che omo wo inside ebi mumbo yanyama si che omo bo mo nyomba jiji sika double wo kosa la na apamu se oni apata wo inside ye ntro udi ma.
Some traders have already begun rebuilding on their own. Despite the lack of aid, they claim discrimination and they feel abandoned. But the leadership insists they're doing everything they can. Michael Obeng, chairman of the largest trader group and member of the 9-member committee overseeing relief, believes progress is being made.
Workmanship. Carpenter for sika omudi ede bon chance ni New York ni go so on me am no ka se me 150 Ghana cedis le so bi 150 Ghana cedis na cost 3,000 Ghana cedis for le bia na etua de ma carpenter for no enyi obi adua sika na mo se panimu bi na se pani bi agi sika o ba bi anya ye ha.
Over 2.8 million cedis in donations have been received by the committee. But for the thousands who lost everything, hope is running thin.
By the close of the month, let me say a year joining in a year. Now, the chess can be crop inu. I see 2 one. Ama missing for I estimate at the my number of bros I beg so, number of cement I beg so. The winning in a year, the betcha. Say you crop part, so on penny 10 billion, which is 1 million Ghana cedis in the year. Ebeche e dia ma obi a na ne beka no e ka dia ma for the beche cheye no ai de ye adwuma no ati wi a ye bonu su akonta na de ka bia so no ya che e dia ma mpanifo se obi a fa nkoto ene fotom ibia ne fotom na bibia ye kam.
As the traders wait for relief, they continue to rebuild piece by piece with borrowed money and fading patience. As time drags on, the fire's scars remain, not just on the market's walls, but on the lives of those struggling to rebuild. Sarah Mensah's report, read to you.
We'll take a short break. When we return, Stephanie is my guest as we talk about easy painting. We're back, and of course, this will be our final interview before we go for today's edition of The Pulse. And we're going to talk about the easy waterproof paint. And before that, we brought you that story from Kantamanto. After the fire, the trader decided to rebuild the market. Most of them did their own rebuilding, roofed their stores. But what can happen is that in the event of a rain, most of their stores will be flooded because perhaps they didn't get professional advice in doing it. But that can be prevented. That is why Stephanie Opoku-Dankwa, head of sales and marketing, is here with me to do justice to that. Stephanie, welcome.
Thank you.
And we met last week.
Yes.
And how is it going?
It's good. So far, so good.
So far, so good.
So far, so good.
You are getting calls. People want to understand. So for the Kantamanto traders who've decided to do their own rebuilding, can they come to you for support in terms of getting the paints that will withstand flooding and leakages?
They can.
Leakages especially.
They can. Because, when it rains and you get to the market, it's a little disturbing at times. So if they really put everything in place, they can come for the easy waterproof for their roofings. And if it's properly built, like a good market for them, the best to save them is easy waterproof paints. Yes.
So last year, I actually got a call from a friend who said he lives in the United States of America. He constructed a home and he was having issues with leakages. Now, somebody suggested to him that there's a company that is also into, ensuring that this doesn't happen. And what he came to do in his house was virtually like a quota, sort of, which they used to do the thing on top of the building. And it cost him so much money. It took days for them to finish the work. And then just after 6 months, the leakages started. Yours is different. And so you want to understand how, now that he's gone through the process, the house already occupied, is there still remedy for him?
Good, there is. I actually love what you just said because we just finished doing somebody's big house, very beautiful house.
Okay.
And he's had to use a lot of, the solution is good. There's some in UK, there's some here, there's some here. So he had one of our friends who usually patronizes us, talking to him. And most people are a little bit skeptical when it comes to things made in Ghana. So he was like, okay, so I'm going to go on a challenge with you. If this thing doesn't work, you're going to pay me back. I told him, okay, you don't worry. Let's do this for you. Once you see that you are very satisfied, come back and give us the balance. So they did it. He said, okay, let me test. Because I'm sure you people, when you go to the studios, you just do some magic and things to the basket too. So now it's on my building. Let me test it. And the problem is the entire house. I don't know how they did the house. The entire building, from the roofs to the floor, everywhere was so bad. And he's got very expensive things in the house. So in this case, it costs just a little bit more. That is why I keep saying that I would have preferred that the best time that you could come to us is when you start with the foundation. Let's just get in there and then raise a building with you. But even if you still have the building in there and you haven't this, there's no problem. Still come to us. We'll fix it just for you. We'll give you some peace.
Now that the house is done, the problem is there.
Solved. Solved and solved forever.
So you're also worried about the cost. And I'm going to find out, is this within the reach of, especially somebody who is building for the first time?
Very affordable. I always tell people that when you go to town and you ask these other products that they say are for waterproof, and you compare it to our easy waterproof, our price is very reasonable. Very reasonable. Okay. And what we do is we give you very professional people to work with you if you don't have. If you have painters, we give them the professional training so they can do a good job for you as well.
So again, let's go through the process and we'll have the demonstration one more time for those who are skeptical about the efficiency of this product. So let's go through the process for the first time. I have a home. I need to come to you first.
Yes.
And then what happens?
Okay, so when you come to us, we first have to do the cleaning of the surface that we're going to apply. So we do the cleaning. If it's an
the entire house or just the roof?
No, what we like doing is we want to work entirely on everything. You see, so that you don't end up, we fix the side and there's a problem and we have to go in that, you know, another time. So what we advise you is, let us do the entire building.
Okay.
Let's save you. So we do the entire building, we do a thorough cleaning, but we do them in sections so that by the time we are done, everywhere is good, everywhere is clean, and everywhere is safe for you.
Okay, apart from the roof, and I had this challenge at my previous place. It had nothing to do with the roof, but it had more to do with the windows. It is just sliding windows. So usually when, depending on the direction of the rain, sometimes I have to use towel to place under the window to collect the water that will be coming from where the base or the top of the window. Can this work there as well?
It can. It can. So what we do is we'll just clean where usually the rain comes from or where the water comes from. We'll just do a cleaning there, and then we apply those ones just there. And remember I told you it works on every surface.
Yeah, I mean, because in the case of the window, I realized that what I've been doing is that I've forgotten the name, but it has this funny name, and then they smell it. And then you realize that after a month or two,
it just peels.
The sun, it
will just melt it.
And then you are back to the same issue.
Good. But this one has been done for a very long time. Very long time. The other time I wanted you to try and see if you can peel it. You can't peel it. So once it goes on the wall, that is how it is. The only thing you would say maybe would be a problem is when it's dirty, you would have to
find a way to clean it.
And it's very easy to clean, just as I've done in the basket. Once you just go in anywhere and you see that there's a little dirt in it, outside, you just clean it if it's your hands are reachable. If not, you just do some soapy water and water hose. You wash it. It's done.
It's done.
Inside, if you have children or you have oily surfaces or something, you just use dumping water and some.
And then you are good.
And
I've always said that the worst thing to experience is to live in your beautiful home, and then when it rains, when you are supposed to have a very comfortable sleep, you are walking around the house collecting water from leaking roof, leaking windows here and there.
No.
The lifespan of this, I mean, once done, how long would I have to change it?
You don't need to change it. Unless maybe you're just somebody like me who likes to play with colors. And you just want to, okay, today it's blue, so I want a green the other time. So we just do just one topping for you. But once you apply it, that's it. It stays forever. It stays forever.
Now let's put it to test.
Okay.
And then my sister is here.
So Teresa will do the demonstration for us. The other time somebody said we brought some water filled with something and then we put it in. So
please wait.
This is clear water.
And let's wait. Let's let the camera capture the inside.
This is an empty basket. Empty basket with the waterproof paint in and out. In and out. So it's an empty basket painted with the easy waterproof paint. And this is clear water. Clear water. So Teresa is going to pour it in.
Okay.
I think you can add more to it. Add more to it so that it won't look like it's just small in there, and just add more to it. And it's just clear water. Just normal water we drink. Nothing added. So that is it for you.
And now let's see how it works. So please lift it up small. Let's see if there's water coming from under that we can identify. Okay, so as you can see, there's no leakage.
No leakage.
The water is safe.
Very safe.
It means that if you should put this to practice, you are saving yourself from leakages and then the constant repair of your home because of water leakage.
This is how it works once it's on the surface that has been applied to. And you don't even have to have problem with leakage before you can apply it. It also stands in as a protection for your home. Instead of having to repaint every 3 months or 6 months, you can use the easy waterproof paint once on the house, and that's it.
And that's it.
And
that's it. Okay, so where can you be located?
Okay, so the main office is located at Abeka Junction. We're just adjacent to the Allied Filling Station and close to Peace FM. You can give us a call on 0243 70 7696. 0243 70 7696. 9496.
And are you on social media
yes.
so that people can?
So we're on Facebook, we're on Twitter.
And the rest of the handle
is Easy Paints. Okay. Once you just type in Easy Paints, we'll just please. I know that other people are watching us. Mm-hmm. We don't sell online. We don't sell online. It's either you give the office a call and wherever you are, we'll do a delivery to you. But we don't sell online. We don't let you send us money and then we send you the paints. We don't do that. And unfortunately, our promo is coming to an end.
And so?
The 15%.
And so you need to take advantage now.
Yes, the 15%. Please note, 15%. It comes off on Saturday. Unfortunately, once our love story ends tomorrow, we're giving you 1 day grace period of love with Easy Paints. Please come and
the office is open from Monday to...
It's open to... Because of the promo, we open half day on Saturday. So you can walk in, you can give us a call.
Definitely, thank you so much. Of course, this is too good to...
This
is good news that you need to take advantage of, especially if you are a homeowner or planning to build. Stephanie is with the sales and marketing with Easy Waterproof Painting. Well, folks, that's our show for today. For more stories, log on to our website, myjoyonline.com. Top story and news night. We'll have more stories for you. And, of course, Joy News Prime at 7. Until then, my name is Elton Broby. Whatever you are up to in the hours ahead, I hope it's profitable.